is that the Aphelios Nautilus want to fight early, Ezreal Karma want to poke early, but even with that, the 3v3 goes in the way of Sengoku. If Volibear comes down, Volibear runs through that lane. If a hook lands, you are struggling to get out. You only have one Arcane Shift, and it's on a very long cooldown early game, of course. Now, you can counter-gank as the Hecarim, but I wonder if that's going to be enough. So I think that one of DFM's one lost conditions in this game is getting 3v2'd or 3v3'd early through bot side. They need to avoid that, as opposed to they can do similar things top side. So I think that bot side is where Sengoku can really strike. If things are passive, though, which they typically have been in the LJL, I think that works out in DFM's favor.
Watch for those early river wars as well. Can you track a potentially spicy early gank from Wansu? While Steel has been pretty much the premier jungle in the LJL this split, Wansu has certainly thrown his name in the ring. Honestly, for both of these teams, pretty much every player has thrown their name in the ring. You've seen our old pro votes and Honey and Udapon right at the top of there for their roles as well. All of that kind of thing is something to play around. But I do need to see what this Volibear does early and whether DFM scout it out.
Speaking of that Volibear, first time for once this split, actually. Wow. He's played 5 champions throughout the entire split, and it's worth noting that we have, 21 regular season games, so that's not the most champion diversity, though, jungle pool has been fairly constrained in terms of the meta, but having the Volibear as another early game aggressive jungler, it fits Wance's style. It's not a flashy, diving in, dash playmaking champion with Lee Sin, Jarvan, Jin Zhao, stuff like that. But it is still something that can get the ball rolling early. So again, I'm looking forward to seeing what Wands can do with a champion and a composition that needs him to do stuff early, I'd say.
Absolutely. And of course, that's partly because Wands, as you were saying, has really preferred the Lee Sin. He's so confident, so practiced on the champion. He's been our premier Lee Sin player. As much as we've been talking about the word premier a lot, at least on my end when it comes to these junglers. His Lee Sin has been so good for so long. Of course, he was on Burning Core for a couple years with mixed results, we should say.
Yeah.
This year, he's finally come back alive, looked really scary. And being on a Volibear with a lot of this early playmaking, a lot of the ability to force dives, be an unstoppable engage option to match the Hecarim is pretty exciting to watch. Interestingly, though, he started bot side and will be pathing towards the top, whereas Hecarim is going from top to bot. So actually not where I was expecting the Volibear to end up. Maybe looking to punish Ebby if he's overextending.
And what we've also not seen is any deep wards to actually track where this is happening. Because again, sometimes you play as a jungler to just play unexpected a little bit and just say, look, they expect me to do this. Let's see if I can just catch them out by playing to the opposite side of the map. Now, that's one thing about the junglers. I actually want to talk about the early mid lane trading. Well, let's talk about early bot lane trading.
Early bot lane trading, there's the passive route in, and it won't be too much more. Yep. So when we talked about it, we stopped now.
Okay, again, Aphelios is not really a champion at level 1. However, Nautilus very much is one of the reasons that you pick that champion with the Aphelios. It kind of props up that level 1. Before then, the level 2, 3 become real kill threat after that point. Speaking of kill threat, though, lots of high damage in this mid lane. Yahorong's actually taken bone plating and resolve secondary on the LeBlanc. That's something which we saw with LeBlanc into Vex sometimes. You can see that right there. I mean, you jump in, you trade electrocutes. When you have electrocute and bone plating up, because the Ahri has gone for the time warp and inspiration secondary, you have a bit more regen over time. But in terms of the burst, you're taking a lot less damage to that LeBlanc. So an interesting kind of tech option from Yahorong. Does mean you give up something like Dematerializer, which can contest push against Ahri sometimes, though, in the early game. So Jet's going to get that priority, which allows, once again, on the Volibear to maybe have a few more options. Question is, what are they going to do with it? Because they've just gone for the full clear right now. They're not looking for something aggressive. Let's see what happens on the second clear.
Absolutely, and DFM do have Shove in the bot side, which is obviously where they want to focus anyway. So if you can kind of play a little bit more reserve until level 6, for example, comes through for Yahorong, and you've got a little bit more to play with the LeBlanc and those mimic spells, and Steel can get towards level 6 and suddenly then be a real kill threat with either of these laners, or honestly the bot lane if you can find a good enough angle. You've got stuff to work with, and you can see the bot lane has been well secured with the early Skull Crab. Ward's gone in onto the respawning Gromp, which will be coming up over the next minute or so. And that is the trade DFM have been happy to make. Good Mantra Soul Flare there from the side of Harp. And that will lead us just that early poke coming through and a little more to be riding home about right now. we'll have to work on to those second clears you called out just a few moments ago.
Yeah, so, and again, just for those of you that are tuning in just to see what's happening with MSI qualification, what's happening with the final stages of these minor regions playoffs and stuff, these are, of course, two of our top teams. And, and you have to see what happens with this region going internationally. This is a region which plays slowly in the early game. As we said, sometimes DFM will just brutalize lane, so it doesn't really matter. But you can see right now, even though there are some ways to play around the early game, neither team wants to flip anything early, and they're waiting until a couple of item spikes come in, maybe towards that Herald, before they really start things going.
Oh, Honey has to flash out there. Great stuff from Harp with the root.
Ignites.
Turn around from an NT, try to flash away, but it's still going to be the kill! And now Unipod can keep running. That's why he's the first team All-Pro AD carry. Once comes thundering in, but it's too little, too late. 2v2, 2 kills.
And for the last year of play, Honey has been the premier, we're using that word again, AD carry in the LJL. He has been the hyper carry, he has been the be-all and the end-all of our top tier AD carries. But Utespawn's been around longer, baby. He's played as Ezreal since as long as he has been on the Rift. Against the newer player to the roster of Harp, they find themselves the 2v2 against two stalwarts of the region, and it does seem really that as much as you can fight early as the Aphelios and the Nautilus, if you don't shut out one of those players early, the continued damage between the Conqueror, between the Karma being a significant damage threat too, that 2v2 goes very poorly.
It does. Steel might be face-checking here. He's going to max away, though, and they're going to miss the dredge line. Nice smiley senses there.
Not even close. Doesn't have to blow the ghost, just gets out with his own hooves clopping across there. And what this does mean is, of course, DFM are still here in presence on the bot side. It's not enough to dissuade Sengoku from taking a early dragon. I think actually the reason this happened is because DFM took the 2v2, but was still low HP, they had to still take a reset and see what they could do.
So
Sengoku could get the first bite at this dragon, they're going to take it. DFM not in a position to fight. Again, I think it's just the resets after the kill led to that eventuality. Not the worst thing in the world, however.
Good charm onto Yaharong, who did dive forward, steps back again, actually misses the chains, and now could be in a spot of bother, actually. Needs to wait out on things like the charm. There's the Spirit Rush, but here comes Steel!
Oh!
Still gets the Orb of Deception, tries to outplay it, and Jet gets the 1v1.
Okay, now the way I would describe the Ahri versus LeBlanc matchup from the Ahri side, look, I'm an Ahri man, I'm going to talk about it. It's, you're at a casino, and you know you're doing something a little bit naughty, you're cooldown counting, you see how many spells the LeBlanc's got, where can they flick back to? Because if they're not able to get out of your chase down range from your ult, you get to do stuff like this, because Jet stood behind the minion wave. What Yaharong is trying to do is play around that melee minion stood in front of him. Jet angles it perfectly though, so he has a clear line of sight. But look at this, Yaharong doesn't have the ult at this point, can't jump away, and though Steel is in the radius of that mid lane, Jet plays that 1v1 really, really well. Love that play.
Great stuff. It was a close one, but Jet comes out on top, at least this time.
And now we
around.
have to eject him from the casino because
exactly
he has been cooldown
How
counting.
dare you? Exactly that. It's not called cooldown anymore, it's ability haste. Still a little bit salty about that. Why change the name? Anyway, we're moving away from that. It's still going to be a relatively heavy early gold lead for DFM here, about 1,500 gold, which is great news for them. But of course, Jet, this MVP, this other win condition, doing exceptional things to get that kill. Of course, means he can get the early Merc Treads. It's a good start, but the 2 kills on the bot side, the plate that's gone down already down there, that is a little bit more worrying to work with right now.
Okay, but more important things, which again for me is talking about Ahri. Sure. Things. Got the Dark Seal on first back. I'm love
so
it when
happy
Ahri players do this. It is something which is sorely overlooked from so many Ahri players, and actually mage players in general. First back Dark Seal, it's better than a Mana Crystal. If you're building up towards a Lost Chapter, just get that instead. It has so much payoff if you get early plays. Now you have the 2 stacks, and it suddenly, look at the 8-minute mark. There's a Herald up. If a fight were to come down around that, or a second Dragon, and you pick up a couple assists, maybe a kill and assist, you're getting up towards that 5-6 stack mark, maybe you can start thinking about snowballing to a Medjai's, and at that point, with champions like a LeBlanc, with like an Ahri in this game too, without a huge amount of targeted lockdown, you already have the Merc Treads, Jet could be in for a serious solo carry performances, and boy has he had them before in this split. He really has been putting on an MVP carry split almost in, at least in a lot of people's eyes. I know there's a bit of contention. Ebby's obviously been having a wonderful split of his own. But Jet having that agency, very important.
Honey. Okay, they're going to just charge him back. He has not got Flash. He's got Cleanse, but I don't think it's going to make too much difference. Going to try and get some Chakrams up. He's got Severum Crescendo.
The hook!
The turnaround. They try to stop the back and overdive. Cute idea goes horribly wrong.
It does. The ult doesn't land. The fear doesn't come through. Honey gets to throw out the chakram ult. That crescendum when you have a single target ult, it got buffed a number of patches ago. Single target chakrams on the ult they stack up so quickly with that ult. You get like something like 3 base, and that means that your DPS goes through the roof.
Yaharong now just trying to see whether he can weigh out the charm. Doesn't, so he'll take an Orb of Deception and feel a bit unhappy about it. But of course, not going to take too much damage at this point of the game. Steals back on the map and will rescue some of his Raptors. All the while, though, of course, DFM didn't contest the Herald because they wanted to shove in and get as many plates here as they could, and do get a fair number of them. And Honey, yes, he gets the kill, but he's still been zoned off quite a lot of CS here, so it's a nice silver lining. I don't think it's as clean a victory as he would have liked.
No, and the thing is, this also shows the decision-making at DFM is very sound here. Imagine what would have happened if the FLOS does die. If you kill the FLOS, suddenly it's like, oh boy, this is going pretty badly. That's another wave gone. That's another plate gone. And then you look at FLOS as this resource-intensive hypercarry ADC behind the curve of the game, and Sengoku would actually struggle in mid-game at that point.
Paz is in trouble. That's going to be a solo kill. Hops forward, gets the Mega Gnar into the wall, and it's a very dead Outlaw.
Oh, and Ebby, the #1 solo killer in the LJL. He adds another to their name. Had a breakout year last year on the international stage. Brought DFM to such a high level, the highest result this region has ever known. But for those of you who haven't followed his progress in this split after that point, he's having one of his best splits yet. And it's plays like that where he just diffs the top lane, which really bring this team onto another level.
Yeah, and there's now been solo kills in every lane.
That is his 23rd solo kill in... Okay, so they've played 21 regular season matches. This is their first playoffs match. So that's 22 games, 23 solo kills in 22 games.
That is very impressive.
Solo kill up again, baby.
That is very impressive. And considering the variety of plays we've heard, sometimes he's been weak side, not having to be the damage side. Sometimes he's been very strong side. And that flexibility has been so powerful. Utapon nearly at his 4th plate down here as well. Yes, the kills are relatively even. Yes, there's been some throwback from Sengoku Gaming, but the problem is they're still bleeding out a lot of gold, and Ebby hops forward, could start autoing even more. He went for a Cull Pass, he's got no boots, and the auto attack damage is just brutal as Utapon gets to Arcane Shift forward as well, but maybe we've got a skirmish in mid lane and starting to play around. Look, NT's around. Maybe that could be a point of order.
I've actually forgotten a very important fact to him.
Yes.
Because Ebby was actually ill and out for a couple of games.
Yeah, he was.
It's not even... No. It's not even 23 solo kills in 22 games. No. It's 23 solo kills in 20 games. Knock a couple of them off. Also, DFM only lost the one game while Ebby was in the roster. That was one of the games to Rascal Jester. And you can see how important this guy is to this team. I think anyone with eyes could have seen that last year. And anyone with eyes can see that Honey is not happy at all.
Flashed out from certain death. That's a big one, but my days, the bot side is not looking particularly great here. Yaharong might be in trouble, though. He's going to miss the chase now, going to try and outplay. Here's Ebby to try and turn it around. Once, stepping forward, just get a thundering smash, but Ebby trying to build up towards the Mega Gnar. Hops over Jet, now can continue trading. He's got Mega Gnar so damn close, but there's the ultimate, flashes away! Yaharong in, gets the kill there, and now Steel is around as well. What can Once do? He's just going to stop there and die. Charging back in, but it's not going to matter. Now NT's in trouble. Depth charges there, but the tower aggro will not be quite enough, and DFM get the mid jungle in mid lane.
Victory goes to the
flash shoulder flyer. Gonna try and gets the kill as well. Now he's got the wave in, and everybody's dead for Sengoku. Oh.
And it is a very, very odd game when your support has more kills than your carry mid, your carry bot. 2-0-1, Hub, bloodthirsty to the limit again. We played that little Mortal Kombat game a little bit before we came into this first one, but this is serious, just brutality from DFM. They're playing around their skirmishing prowess, and actually this play with Ebby coming down into the mid lane, this is something that DFM did all the time last spring when they had Arya, when they were playing on the Rise and the Renekton to get prio. The Nav pushes out that lane, bullies out the top lane, comes into the mid and makes it an uneven numbers fight. The rest of the team link up, and this is what's really special about DFM. Last year, they were mechanical powerhouses who needed to work on their synergy, to work on getting everyone together. This time, at this point in the split, DFM are already a very coordinated
Jet's
team.
in trouble. Remember, there's no flash. Does have the ultimate to get away, but hops around the back. It's another one for the Karma, and it's looking like someone on Sengoku's been a very naughty person because their Karma is all bad this game.
Oh, Karma, as we know, is a very nasty woman.
lady. Yeah.
DFM, again, we keep bringing up this point. This is one which I really want to hammer home. If you haven't watched the LJL this split, if you want to know what's happening in our region, DFM were looking to rebuild this split. They lost two of their greatest members, some of the greatest members the region has ever known. They lost Arya, they lost Gang, they brought in Yaharong and Harp, and boy, they have not missed a beat.
No, they have not. And Sengoku, it was a turnaround of the bot side when they tried to keep Honey away from play. It was a solo kill in the mid lane for Jet. And honestly, that's been it. Couple neutral objectives have gone down for pretty hefty trades elsewhere. Now you're seeing bounties across the board. Somehow, someway, Utapon doesn't have one. Oof. And now you see the plate differential. Utapon and Harp did that by themselves practically. And the game is all but over at this point. It's 5,500 gold sub 15 minutes.
It is. And a lot of this is, again, the way we characterize this team and this region, the LJL does not play early game, they play through lanes. Now, Utapon, he might be getting played through his own mid lane. Sorry, miss out on that hook. Oh, Honey, so close to hitting the press the attack craziness.
Can't quite make it happen. Utapon gets away, doesn't burn flash, doesn't burn heal, and he was playing with fire there and gets away with it.
He actually has the fleet footwork. I forget that's what FLS is taking in Smash. But either way, if you hit the moonshot into the Crescendum Moonlight Vigil, the double auto attack reset on the Calibrum, just having those rifle shots firing in from absolute orbit, crazy amounts of damage. Utapon lucky to get away with that.
Yeah, there is no flying blender to deal with this time around. He gets away with it. Of course, did have the heal, so would likely be able to get away with it, but it would have been a little closer than he would have liked.
I think if both hit, I think you're saying goodnight there. It's close.
It would have been close.
Either way, he doesn't have to worry about it.
Either way,
maybe we can
he
have,
gets away with it.
You know, I watched an episode or two of the Marvel What If series. Next episode with Utapon.
Yeah,
there we go.
For sure. I'd be very curious to see.
You know what would have been a great What If episode? Yeah. Because this goes to this matchup too. 2020 spring, first matchup the first split that we covered as a stream here, as fans of this broadcast, fans of this region. That Juggernaut match was DFM Sengoku, and Sengoku blasted them. They knew how to play around the Victor. They had the Ezreal coming in on the crazy patch with the Death Dance coming in. They had a great read on the meta, and then they lost the finals because the patch changed to 3 beyond it. That was when COVID was just hitting. Sengoku, in this matchup, may well have taken a title in some time in the past. They have to sit there and think, what if? But luckily today they have another chance to try and change that narrative again. It's going to be a tough one. We've seen how far they're behind they are in this game, and how far they've been, again, brutalized really by DFM skirmishing their laning potential. Yeah. But in this series, we know that they are a strong team. We know they have the history of beating this team in a 5v5. Question is, can they do it again on the day?
Ebby's 2,000 gold, Utapon's 2,000 gold ahead, and Yarong's up 1,000 himself. Now there's a mid lane turret that's gone down. The Herald didn't even lose any HP for it, and the damage coming through from the other side of DFM is starting to get very nasty. Paz gets chunked out, steals around. They do get the second charge and allow them to back off and look to hunt elsewhere around the map. It's a dragon apiece right now as well, and we are on an ocean rift, but we've still got a little bit of time before something like an ocean dragon is spawning, and unfortunately for Sengoku, there is no soul wing condition. And honestly, yeah, they've got some scaling, but it's not like they've got the most to play for later either, and that gets pretty scary to deal with when everybody at this point is someone for Utapon to just chunk out with 2 skills.
And that's a real difficulty, because Sengoku now have to sit and play to the beat of DFM's drum, because they don't have the choice of where they are on the map. They need to really be playing responsive to DFM and say, look, how are we clearing out these side lanes? How are we holding mid lane? And they haven't been able to hold their lane so far. As soon as DFM choose to force the issue, Sengoku just had to say, all right, cool, we'll meet you there. We don't have a choice to let you group up. Sengoku are trying to now use this kind of drop in the rhythm to try and get some vision around the map, but even then, it's so dangerous. NT pushing up so far, very nearly getting punished.
There's a Shirelius to give some speed, so the shield, the Mantra shield, of course, that Defiance won't need to be used right now, and they just force them straight out of the jungle again.
And that was a risk taken to clear 1 down ward. That's it. They have to walk into the enemy jungle and say, let's hope we can clear. Okay, no, we got to get out. They have, at least in this point, Sengoku, on the presence of mind to say,
TP?
No, it is just the one, but he has a Mega Narbor.
He does have a Mega Narbor, and Paz has got flash, he's got collateral damage. He's going to have to try and get the most out of both here. Where's the quick draw? Mega Narbor back, and he cancels it! And that's so frustrating. Ebby is just too clean. He reads it like a book. Unfortunately, there's only a few pages left, and Ebby tears him straight out.
And one of the only thing written on those pages is, Why did I buy a shield bow? He doesn't even have an Eclipse. He's had to go for the heavily nerfed since last Worlds crit build on the Graves. Doesn't have an Eclipse. Doesn't have the ability to even scale up into a 2-3 item power spike on the Graves for a team fighting purpose. He's going to be losing side lanes with a suboptimal build, and he's died for the second time in this lane. And Ebby is running rampant.
3-0-2 on his signature. Nah, a pick he's not even really needed to go towards this split, frankly, as Yarong will hold Jet away from this tower. Ebby gets the tier 2 down here, and fortunately for Paz, this is not an unknown state of affairs. He was versus Ebby in 2015 when Ebby joined the league on 7th Heaven. He was on Rampage.
7th Heaven, now that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
And then Paz leaves Rampage, and Ebby takes over, and he loses to Ebby on Rampage. While he's on DFM of all teams. Paz moves to DFM. Then Paz leaves DFM to go join Pentagram. Ebby joins DFM, and he loses on Pentagram. And then at that point, Ebby has stayed on DFM, whatever other team Paz has joined, aside from the V3 roster in 2020 that went to Worlds and didn't perform as well as they would have liked. Ebby's just had Paz's number.
And actually, speaking of that, okay, let's bring it back to the international picture again. So obviously, we've seen Ebby international a lot recently, but the last time we saw Paz go internationally, things were not as well as we would have really liked them. V3 was a very macro-heavy, rotation-heavy team, but they lacked some of that mechanical punch, the laning strength. That was the thing which they really lacked as a team. That's the difference between Paz and Ebby for me. I think Paz, when things are stable, when he's able to play out a larger, more rotation-based style, is so impactful to his team. If he has to play the heavy laning style, though, that's where Ebby has always shined. DFM have always shined in that regard, and they're looking again to carry that torch forward that they lit last year and really set this whole region ablaze and go forward to another international event and say, look, yeah, we can continue to do this. It wasn't just one flash in the pan. Let's make it another year of success for Japan.
To bring it back down from the wider picture here as well, a couple little things to keep your eyes on. Of course, you called out the Immortal Shield Bow, which made some sense as well, but I do want to point out a lost chapter in inventory for Unibon. Is likely going towards like a Crown of the Shattered Queen here,
yes.
Which honestly, considering his main threats are getting picked by Nautilus Ari, or even just like a big Moonshot combo, I don't hate that actually. I think.
So Ezreal's mythic items have been a point of discussion for a very long time. Actually, stuff like Eclipse and Prowler Score can be very good on Ezreal, because you start hitting those Qs and the extra armor penetration comes in really clutch. But when you are sat with such a lead, it reminds me of what Gambit Gaming used to do. Season 4, Season 5, where they would buy Guardian Angels on everyone, even though it was kind of a meh item at the time, and just be like, look, you're never killing us. We have secured our lead. We are playing with our damage. You're not going to have a chance to shut us down. Something like the Crown in this game, where there isn't really a large amount of stuff that can remove it, maybe a lucky Graves smoke screen or an ult across it, that's going to be the best you're going to get, and that's not really going to be enough to really shut Ezreal out of a fight. Ezreal's likely going to have Crown at the moment, which he really wants it, and Sengoku are going to struggle to shut down the Ezreal while he has it active.
And with the Muramana transformation through as well, you're at this position where Ezreal has 2 items, is looking towards getting that defensive option as well, which will obviously give him a little bit more poke on things like the W, on the R. Like, it's not even like it's losing him too much damage. In fact, there is the Crown of the Shattered Queen. I'm beginning to run out of options here for Sengoku. It feels like it's potentially a Baron Steel maybe as an option. It's get Honey to 3 items and get the mother of all Aphelios fights. But otherwise, I feel like it's looking very dire right now.
That's because if you feel like it's looking dire, it's because it is. I will confirm that for you. It's not looking good.
I tried to be gentle, but there's not a lot of gentleness in this
DFM
game.
are not giving the same courtesy. They have, huge CS lead on AD carry, huge CS lead on top. Mid lane is somewhat even, but the Ahri, even with the Void staff second, is not really going to be achieving a great deal in this fight. You need to play around vision, which you have none of right now. And if it is going to be playing into vision, you're still not going to be able to get a lot of these snap picks that you want, because the Hecarim, the Nara are very tanky. You've got a Merc Treads and a HP on Yellow Blanc, and there's a Crown on the Ezreal. You need to really be lucky now, and maybe outside of picks, you play around a lucky steal on an objective. Maybe that's it.
Your best bet is trying to get a hold of
We've seen a couple of them recently.
Exactly.
We've seen a couple of old objective throws.
That's the ward's gone. They've got one over the back of their red buff now, and they're dashing away as Jet is now the target as they've been forced out their own jungle. He's going to get the Spirit Rush away, and there's a teleport afterwards as well, so they'll take the TP and ult for ult trade.
Okay, but then with the Spirit Rush
goes
good charm.
But it's going to be into Mega now, who's so tanky. You've got to pick, but what does it mean? They're going to try and get onto Steel, though. Who's going to take very low, but not go down? And now Unipod is here, finds the Mystic Shot to get a kill onto Jet, who's been turned into dust in trade. Yes, there's a Moonlight Vigil. Paz will stay alive until the Boulder Clips won't quite be in a flash for the Dalto. There from Yarong, I apologize, a Sigil of Malice will actually be what it was. It's a Q in the face for the jungler. He dies alongside Paz, and now a 3 for none. They'll turn back to Baron. That's playing with the wallets. That's playing with the defensive tools. It's playing with a little bit of style.
And it's playing with a bit of comfort alongside it. It's Ebby's Gnar. We know this is a historical pick for him. It doesn't matter if he's not played at this split. Same can be said of Utapon. You know how many games he's played at that champion? 53, including this one. He has a 77% win rate across all of his games, and he has not, again, missed a beat. Said that a couple of times in this game because it really feels like DFM have the rhythm. They have, again, that comfort. They know exactly what they want to play out in this game. And Utapon goes completely untouched. Yeah, he doesn't have the crown for this fight. Was actually popped just a little bit before it. But look how much damage he's just pumping out across Sengoku. Honey is not there. Look at the AD carry difference in terms of the auto attack uptime. DFM have everyone in the right place at the right time, and they are just tearing Sengoku to shreds.
W flash Q. What you're love to see from
That's
you,
really
Rob.
slick.
That was very clean, and this was perhaps my worry a little bit. Jet has been the MVP mid laner. I don't think there'll be anyone to argue against that, but problem is he's also against a mid laner who has also been...
I think some people will be arguing for Yarong. We'll just put that out there.
Yeah, absolutely, but obviously Yarong has been also right up there. He's just been less required, if you know what I mean. He's been on a team with Epi, Unipon, Steel, Harp, who's got multiple solo kills. And it means that sometimes, despite being a shining star, you're surrounded by others who shine just as brightly. And that constellation is
become a
terrifying.
nebula.
Exactly that, and you're seeing it in this game. Yes, these two mid laners are kind of trading blow for blow in the early game, but it means that Jet is still not able to get a monumental advantage in this game because of who he's against partly, and now they're under siege. There's a Baron there down, there are no outer turrets, and it's a dark, dark map, and it is full of terrors wherever you look.
It is, and Utapon free-firing under the turret, willing to take turret shots. No one's actually in a position to take them down. You've got a last Whisper built up in inventory, and look at the siege. Look at the dive.
Yeah, that's what he's done. Steel, what was that? He's going to die in the turnaround, though, as I was going to try and finish up the infamous Doa phrase, but I don't think it managed to get it back anyway. Honey's going to try and flash out. Maybe they get something down, but Utapon is still untouched. He just Orkin shifted to the face of Paz and gets himself a double. Honey will get back to the fountain, but he's down all summoners, and you'll take the 1-for-3 trade. They'll move in onto the Nexus towers, and I think we can write this one off unless Jet and Honey can pull off the miracle of all base defenses.
I don't think it's going to happen. Turret's going down. Nexus sure to follow.
Yarong will distort forwards, look to try and get another bit of auto attack damage down. Can't quite kill the AD carry, but it will matter not at all. They'll throw out a G-Rex logo, because of course, why not? And in 26.5 minutes, DFM